Peace and love, freedom and decolonization to all African people, those at home, those abroad, and those in the future. If you have two shoes, please sell one and buy a sword. If you have two trousers, please sell one and buy a sword, because now it is time for revolution. And this revolution is not on streets. This revolution is not about burning cars. This revolution is about building our own cars to sell them and make our own money. Essentially, this revolution is in the minds, because if we are not in charge of our mind, of our thoughts, then our bodies are just the tools that will be used by our oppressors to oppress us and to oppress our people. Freedom and decolonization once again. This is Kabbalah from the African Continental Unity Party, ACUP. It is a pleasure, like always, to have you on our regular rendezvous to talk about things related to the African agenda for liberation and emancipation. And today we just going to discuss in a few minutes about what I've been thinking as I put myself sometimes to observe our people, their conditions in the world, and the reality, overall reality of our people. I came to conclude that you can have three types of African people. Three types of African people that I just want to quickly discuss with us, and then ask you a question at the end of my presentation. Where do you fit yourself? Where do you find yourself as an African person? Now, the three types of African people or black people, in most particular, that I want to discuss, I talk about the intelligent African people, the conscious African people, and those that I can qualify as unconcerned African people. Now, what do I mean by intelligent African people? I observed that there's a tendency, especially among the youth and also the elders in Africa, whereby you have a group of people who are well educated, very intelligent, but centered on themselves, on individual ambition to succeed in life. Now, because success in the world today is mostly defined by the Western man, by the white man, it becomes for them clear that for them to succeed, because they are all about success. They are all about individual success. It means they want to be recognized as successful people. They want to buy, expensive cars, live in mansion, and sometimes they want to receive some of those decorations, prize, international prize, such as Nobel Prize, prize in literature, prize in filmmaking, all these things that we know in the world today. Now, because the process and the guidelines for you to achieve these things have been already set up by the white man who controls the system and has already established the modality of success within his own system, these intelligent Africans, with their talents, with their intelligence and skills, they are compelled to follow the guidelines of the Western mindset or the Western man, so that they can qualify, so that they can succeed according to the Western standards. And in most cases, because they are more inclined into that individual agenda of success, because the Western man is all about personal story. Personal success is like you are born in a vacuum where you don't have to interact with other people. You only live yourself surrounded by trees and animals. Even though most of what we have in life, we collect them from other people. And because we collect them from other people, we have a responsibility to share with those who look after us, or who come after us, or look on us. So that simply means that we are interconnected with other people. So there's no way that you will succeed on individual basis. You will have to take from other people to transfer from to other people. In the process, you become successful, as well as the people around you also become successful. But that is not exactly the mindset of the Western man. It's all about individualism, about private property more than collective property, so to say. Now, this is another topic for another day, but in a nutshell, this group of Africans who want to succeed, who are longing for success according to the standards established in the world today, they will have to find themselves sometimes compromising with the aspirations or collective aspirations of African people. And by now, I'm sure you know what is a collective aspiration of Africa is liberation and emancipation. Africa still needs to be liberated, or I should be precise, African man and African woman need to be liberated. And he can only liberate himself, of course, but we'll put that aside. So what I'm trying to say that those intelligent people, they put their skills to work, but to follow the prescription that has been set up by the Western society to succeed. And most of those prescriptions are always against the African aspiration or African agenda to liberate herself and to emancipate herself, because you should know that the Western man for a long time has been depending on cheap labor or cheap resources plundered from Africa. And in most cases, when you build your economy by using cheap labor, by exploiting other people's resources that you don't want to pay the right price of those resources, you sometimes think that you are using the people that you are exploiting to advance yourself, but at the same time, you are making yourself a slave to those people, because you have to depend on the cheap labor. You have to depend on the resources that you are taking for free, right? So that you can build your economy and your standards of living. Now, if those people, for one reason or another, begin to rise up and to reclaim their properties, to reclaim their service or the privilege, or I should say the benefits of the services that you have been exploiting from them, then you are in danger, because you will find yourself without anything that you have to depend on to continue sustaining your economy. Therefore, you find yourself threatened by the need of those people to rise. Now, why do I say this? It means simply that once you put yourself on the Western agenda so that you can succeed against the Western standards of success, you are putting yourself at the same time against, or you are opposing the African agenda to succeed as well, because African agenda to succeed is always against the Western agenda of success. For you to succeed within the context of African reality, you have to somehow find yourself opposing certain prescriptions of Western society. You see? So that's what many of our successful African people do today. Most of our, I should call, intelligent African people, what they do today to succeed with their individual aspirations, they will have to compromise or to betray, Africa so that they can succeed. They will have to sell Africa so that they can succeed. They will have to sell their souls so that they can succeed in the world, so that they can be applauded in the world, so that they can be noticed and remarkable in the world, so that they can have things, material things in the world. But at the end, they would have served no purpose in relation to the aspirations of their people, who are the African people. They would have served no purpose, no importance at all to the struggle of African people to liberate themselves and to emancipate themselves. And as Kwame Ture said, that these kind of people, they are useless. Even a cow is important than an African person who lives this kind of life. Because what serves you to have all the things, all the cars, private jets, all the houses, but you have no input, no addition in terms of value in the struggle of your people. You see, you are less important than a cow, because at least a cow lives there, and when it dies, people eat the cow as a meat. But you, as African person who lived for your own individual agenda and interest, you have not served the purpose, or you have not served to the interest of your people, you have not contributed to the struggle of your people, then you are not important than a cow or a chicken. You see, so that is the dilemma today with the intelligent African people. They go to to popular universities, they succeed, they get good jobs, they are doctors, engineers, and all these kind of things. They are musicians, sport people. They succeed, they get money. But if they don't have consciousness of themselves as African people, they will not gonna be productive to the agenda of Africa. Now, against this group of people, we have now what we can call the conscious people or conscious African. Now, these are the people who recognized their responsibility towards their people and fulfill it. A conscious person is the one who recognizes responsibility, or yes, his duty towards his people and fulfills it. It means is that person who seeks to succeed within the struggle of his people, so that he can make his people successful as much as he becomes successful as well. In other words, a conscious person is the one who put his skills, who put his talents, who put his capabilities to the struggle, or to contribute to the struggle of his people. And these are the type of Africans that you see today, doctors, lawyers, but they are not really being recognized by those international institutions that always give credit to people who outperform, people who do a wonderful job. Those Africans who put themselves on the agenda of African liberation, those conscious African, they don't really get to be recognized by those institutions, international institutions, so-called owned by Western society. They get blackmailed, they get eventually excommunicated on the social medias. They get they get all kind of negative propaganda made on their name to demonize them. And I don't want to cite names here, but actually, and you can recall many of them as we're speaking right now, who are facing this reality of being excluded from whether the social community or the international community, whether they are educated or not. It's regardless of their education. They are not just being recognized, or there's no space open to them to express their ideas, to express their thoughts, to express their mind, because they chose to serve their people, because they chose to not compromise with the aspiration of their people to be free and to emancipate as a people. Now, on the third level, we have unconcerned Africans. And these are Africans that you find every day on social media, dancing, trying to attract attentions. They've got millions of viewers simply because they portray their nakedness on social media. They do joke, they do pranks, all these kind of things. They are not really aware of what is happening in the world, and they don't even think about what can happen to Africa in the next 50 years. You see, these are unconcerned Africans, and most of them, they don't even have an agenda of themselves. They don't even have a dream of themselves, a clear plan for their own lives. They spend all their days, they spend all their times on social media, on distractions, on all these empty things or useless things that you can think about. They don't think that the person that they're watching playing soccer is busy fulfilling his life and his dream. And they don't just ask themselves, what are they doing to fulfill their own dreams? You know, when you go to soccer, you watch a soccer, for example. I'm not discouraging people from watching soccer. I do watch soccer as well sometimes, but you just have to realize that the person that you are watching, the people that you are watching, they are in the exercise of their dream. They are busy fulfilling their destiny, you know, playing soccer, being paid in terms of millions. So you spending your 2 hours watching the game, have you as yet fulfilled your own dream? Have you realized your own dream in life? Do you have a plan to succeed in life? So these are the questions to our unconcerned African people. Sometimes unconcerned African people, they pretend to think they have nothing to do with the politics. They don't want to care about politics. Well, the reason why you don't care about politics doesn't mean that politics does not care about you. Politics care about you, you know, and makes politicians make decisions over your lives, and those decisions affect you in a way that you cannot understand. And the conditions that we are experiencing in Africa today, where they talk about unemployment, hunger, poverty, misery, precarities, all these things are related to bad decisions that politicians took over our lives, and we are suffering with the consequences of those decisions. So it just makes sense that we need to be involved in politics, because being involved in politics, we can get to that point where sometimes we begin to safeguarding ourselves and removing ourselves from being on the spot of bad decisions taken by politicians. You see, now these are the three types of Africans that you can see in the world today, but I'm much more interested in those I call conscious people, those with consciousness of themselves. As Frank Fanon said, that every generation must find its mission and fulfill it or betray it. So those Africans who have consciousness of themselves and of their reality in the world are the ones who are fulfilling the part of fulfilling your mission that Frank Fanon talks about. So they are actually fulfilling their mission. They have firstly discovered their mission by understanding the conditions of Africa today, being neo-colonized, suffering under imperialism. So they have given themselves the mission to restore dignity to Africa, to liberate Africa, and they are busy fulfilling it on a daily basis. And because of that, they are being punished by the guardians of the system. But it's fine, because you must understand that there is always something that you have to sacrifice to get what you want. If you want to eat today, you need to give in something for you to get the food that you want. It's either you're giving money to get the food that you want, or you're giving your energy, your time to work and produce and cook the food that you want. There's nothing for nothing. The same as the liberation that we want for Africa. We need to be able to question ourselves. What are we able to give in today to be free, to get the liberation that we want, to be liberated or to liberate ourselves? And if we are not able to give in something, then we are joking about liberation, right? So we have two systems here. We have the system of your oppressors that tells you that do this, do that, so that you can succeed according to that system. And whatever that you do, that the system tells you to do, is against the aspiration of your people. Then you have another reality here where you realize that you need to do this, do that, and do this, which is against your oppressors to succeed, but not to have an easy success, because you're going to have to face certain conditions. You have to face certain, shortcomings. You have to deal with them. But at the end of the day, you want to be successful, because no matter how night can last, the sun will always rise. The situation that Africa is going through today is not ordained by God, is not a nature of things. It is a situation designed by human beings. And because it has been designed by human beings, you and I as a human beings, we can also undo this situation and redesign a proper situation that responds to our aspiration of freedom, liberation, and emancipation. So you see, the question is, firstly, where do you put yourself as African people? Do you want to be among those intelligent Africans who want to succeed with their individual lives and become failure and become a shame for the whole African community? Or do you want to put yourself among those Africans who are conscious about the reality of Africa and have put themselves to work to fulfill the mission and the vision of rebuilding Africa as a global power base? Or you are unconcerned Africa who cares about nothing at all, who just want to enjoy life, drink beer, enjoy, party, and do this and do that, and then die, be buried, and finish your story? Where do you want to be? Now, in case you decide to be among the conscious people, I invite you to join us, because it's only in the number that we are able to impact the world. Alone I cannot do, alone you cannot do, but if we come together and define our operations, define what we want to do, the world we want to create, because we are conscious people, we'll be able to impact the lives of many people in this world. So if you want to be part of us, I invite you to join us in ACUP, African Continental Unity Party, so that together we can put our resources, our energy, our time, and then work together to create or recreate the Africa that we want. Not the Africa that your oppressor and my oppressor want for us, but Africa that we want for ourselves and we want for our children. Peace and love, freedom and decolonization to all of you Africans from wherever you find yourself. If you have 2 shoes, please sell one and buy a sword. If you have 2 trousers, please sell one and buy a sword, because now it is time for revolution. And this revolution is no longer on streets. This revolution is in the mind, because if we are in charge of our mind, we will be in charge of our reality. Freedom and decolonization to all African people, those abroad, those at home, and those in the future. See you again. Peace and love.